There exists a road not marked on any map. It doesn't begin with a turnoff or a signpost. It simply curves gently away from all the things that hurry, and continues only for those willing to move a little slower. It was on this road that Liora found herself walking, not to reach anywhere, but simply to rest from chasing everywhere. The world behind her had grown loud and urgent, full of meetings, pings, expectations, and clocks that blinked with guilt. She hadn't planned to leave. Her bag wasn't packed with intention. It held only a few things: a sweater, a notebook with blank pages, and a snack she forgot she liked. But her feet had moved anyway, as if answering a call too quiet to hear but too deep to ignore. The road narrowed into something more like a path, winding through a series of hills that rose like slow breaths. The breeze here didn't push, it waited. The wildflowers leaned gently, not from wind, but from softness. Even the birdsong sounded less like a declaration and more like a hum to oneself. As she walked, the air thickened not in a heavy way, but like stepping into a dream. Trees began to cluster at the path's edge, tall and generous, their leaves whispering in a language only silence understands. She paused beneath the first arch of branches. The forest ahead was not dark. It was dim in the way candlelight is dim. She could see a path, though it didn't look carved by feet. It looked like the earth itself had softened to make way for wanderers too tired to ask questions. She didn't ask. She stepped forward, and as she crossed beneath the trees, the world exhaled. Asterisk. The forests wrapped around her like a lullaby. Air was cool, but not cold, rich with the scent of moss, pine, and something older. Something like memory. Each step she took landed softly. The ground was padded with years of fallen leaves and gentle rain, a floor made from nature's patience. It didn't feel like she was intruding. It felt like the forest had been waiting, and now that she was here, it could continue. Birds chirped in slow, thoughtful patterns, with long pauses between each call. There was no urgency in their tone, only presence. The light filtered down in strands, broken by branches high above. Every beam of sun felt like a thread of gold woven through the air, soft and slow. Liora walked through them carefully, not wanting to disturb whatever magic was at work. She found herself breathing deeper, not because she told herself to, but because the forest seemed to ask it of her. Her shoulders relaxed, her jaw unclenched. Thoughts that had once run loud and fast in her mind slowed to a murmur, then faded altogether. Then, through the trees, a space opened, a clearing. It was circular, rimmed by tall trees that leaned slightly inward as if protecting a secret. In its center lay a large, flat stone. Upon that stone sat a wooden clock round, carved with ivy and swirls, its face worn smooth. The clock's hands did not move, not stuck, not broken, just still. Liora stepped into the clearing, drawn forward not by curiosity, but by something quieter. Recognition. Asterisk Liora approached the stone, feeling the hush deepen. The clock was unlike any she had seen. There were no numbers, no ticking, no sound at all, only the carved wood, the gentle curves of the hands, one long, one short, resting in place as if asleep. She reached out and touched it. It was warm, not like metal that's been in the sun, but like a palm held near the heart, a kind of quiet warmth that felt alive. She sat beside it, folding her legs beneath her. The forest didn't crowd her. It stayed back, giving her space, the way one gives space to someone grieving or healing. She placed her other hand on the stone, closed her eyes, and listened. At first, there was nothing but stillness. Then, something softer than sound, a sense as if the forest itself was breathing alongside her. Not just wind through leaves, but something deeper, a rhythm she had forgotten she ever knew. From the shadows at the edge of the clearing, a figure stepped forward. They moved like the trees did, slowly, with purpose, without making noise. Their robe was woven from moss and bark, their hair long and silver gray, threaded with lichen. Their face was partly hidden, but kind. They sat on the opposite side of the stone. "I am the Windkeeper," they said in a voice like dry leaves and soft wool. "This is where time came to nap." Liora said nothing. She didn't need to. "You are not late," the Windkeeper whispered. "You are right on time for rest." Asterisk. The Windkeeper rose and beckoned. Liora followed, not with steps of obedience, but with trust. They walked a path that hadn't been there moments ago, a soft trail of light and shadow winding through trees that leaned closer as they passed. They arrived at a tree wider than any she'd seen, its trunk split near the base, forming an open arch, like an embrace. Inside was a small, silver pool, still, silent, not reflecting her image, but her breath. With each inhale, the water pulsed. With each exhale, it shimmered faintly. The Windkeeper gestured, and Liora knelt. "This pool remembers," they said, "not the things you forgot, but the things that forgot you." She looked into it. There were no grand memories, no life-changing scenes, just moments. The sound of pages turning in a quiet library. The taste of tea with her grandmother at twilight, the glow of her bedroom wall just before sleep as a child. Moments of pause, moments of nothingness, the good kind. The kind she had rushed past in the race to be useful, to be seen, to be productive. Not here, in this tree. They were held for her. You didn't lose these, the Windkeeper said. They waited, and in that quiet hollow, Liora cried. Not for sadness, but because she felt, for the first time in so long, remembered. They returned to the clearing in silence, with only the quiet rustle of the forest floor beneath their feet and the long, slow breath of the trees all around. The Windkeeper moved without disturbing the peace, as though they had always been part of the hush, their presence like the soft space between heartbeats. The clock still lay atop the wide stone, exactly where it had been. The hands remained unmoving, still resting, as if nothing that had passed was reason enough to resume their rhythm. And somehow, Liora understood. Not all clocks are meant to start again. Some simply remind you that it's okay to stop. She stepped closer to it, her gaze softening. The clearing seemed slightly brighter now, not with daylight, but with presence. She could feel herself within the moment fully, not aching for before, not anxious for after. Just here. The Windkeeper approached, holding something small. In their open hand lay a spiral of bark, smoothed at the edges, no larger than a coin. Etched into its surface were concentric rings, not precise like a tool would make, but fluid and natural, like the inside of a seashell or the path a leaf might take as it falls. For your pocket, they said gently, offering it to her, a piece of the nap. Liora accepted it with both hands, closing her fingers around it like a vow. She could already feel the quiet it carried, not a silence of absence, but a silence of permission. A breeze stirred then, moving across the clearing with a hush, like a lullaby. It wasn't cold. It wasn't meant to wake her. It was just a reminder. You may go. You may carry this stillness with you. She looked up. Will I ever return? She asked softly. The Windkeeper didn't answer with certainty. They only smiled, eyes kind and unreadable. If the road calls again, it will not forget you, they said. But you do not need to return here. To remember here, Liora understood. She turned, and for the first time in a long time, she did not look back. Out of fear, she looked forward, not toward urgency, not toward duty, but toward a life that might now make space for pause. The path back was gentle. It hadn't become narrower or shorter or unfamiliar. It was exactly as it had been, quiet, curving, forgiving. The kind of path that didn't rush you, no matter how many steps you took. When she emerged from the forest, the world greeted her without fanfare. The sky was soft, the breeze warm, nothing had changed outwardly, and yet everything had soft inside her dot. In the days and weeks to come, her life resumed. Not the same, but not entirely different either. She still answered messages. She still cooked her meals. She still laughed with friends and watched the clouds shift through windows. But now she carried with her a different kind of time. Time that did not tick. Time that did not chase. Time that curled gently inside her chest and whispered, "Here, breathe." There is no rush. Sometimes, when the noise of the world returned, she would reach into her pocket and feel the spirals shape, cool, worn, waiting. And in that touch, she would remember she had once stepped into a forest where time took a nap, and now it slept lightly inside her, waiting only for breath to awaken it gently.